Oh, hello. Fake free. It's HAZLETT here. Welcome to my closet studio. So this video is about something that's been on my mind lately. I'm filming this on April 11th, 2020 in the middle of COVID craziness. One of the cool things about this time has been spending more time together as a family and being able to help and support my children in their schoolwork and the other things that they want to accomplish. Sometimes we have philosophical and motivational discussions. And I wanted to share one of these with you, in case it'll help wherever you're at in your life. So as I was talking with my children, I had this concept come into my mind that I discussed with them. To me, it was kind of revolutionary, even though it seemed ridiculously obvious and circular once I said it. We were talking about how this month it was better in general than the previous one was for this particular kid. They were happier and found it a little easier to be the best version of themselves. So I asked them why that was. And their answer was because we'd gone to a few baptisms. I thought this was very insightful, and don't get caught up in the fact that it was a baptism. That's not really the point. It's not about the baptism itself. This is a principle that I think applies to you whether or not you're religious. I thought it was insightful for this reason. When this child of mine attends a baptism, they feel good. They feel motivated to do good things. They feel no motivation to do negative things. They don't want to fight with or bully their siblings. They feel motivated to be kind to them. Attending a baptism has this kind of effect on that child. So like I said, it's not about the baptism, but it is about the effect that attending a baptism has on them. Maybe a baptism will have that effect on you, maybe it won't. That's not the point. But the point I made to this child is this. Go to baptisms as often as you can. Figure out what else in your life makes you feel that way and make those things a part of your daily life. Go to places, be with people, and do the things that make you feel good and motivate you to do what you know is right and the things that bring you real happiness. On the other hand, don't go to places or spend time with people or do things that motivate you to do what you know is not right. It seems obvious, right? Do the things that make you happy. Don't do the things that don't make you happy. But I think the reason that it's not so obvious in real life is that sometimes we think the things we think make us happy don't actually make us happy. They entertain us. They're things we enjoy doing. Like watching a movie, for example. Maybe you think that makes you happy. But the happiness that comes from watching a movie is fleeting, right? It lasts about as long as a movie. And if it's a really good movie, maybe it lasts for a few hours afterwards. Maybe you wake up the next day thinking about it. But for the most part, it's a diversion, right? I mean, that's what it was about in Rome, right? Give them the diversion. But those things aren't really the root of real, lasting, underlying happiness that you can rely on when you get into a difficult situation. And happiness is also not linked to your personal situation. Whether or not you're rich or poor, whether or not you're successful or not successful, whether you are in quarantine or not in quarantine, these aren't the things that decide whether you're happy. You ultimately can control your response to your situation. Your situation doesn't have to dictate how you feel. It may not be so obvious. Even though it sounds like a really straightforward, easy to understand type of thing. But let's look a little closer at what that looks like in practical application. I'll use my family as an example to help illustrate. And my family, we're religious. And I'm going to use this as an example. But for you, if you're not religious, look past the religious aspect of it and use it as an example, an analogy to your own life and the equivalent things in your life. So the activities that this child identified as making them feel good and motivated to do good were prayer and reading the scriptures, both individually and as a family, and worshiping God and going to places where they could worship with other people who are also worshiping in the same way. So worshiping God for the uninitiated includes things like being mindful, feeling gratitude, thinking, reading, and talking about your moral code and practical ways to stick to it, and meditation. And that's going to include prayer and listening to people talk about religion and going to a Sunday school class where you talk about your beliefs and this type of thing. So whatever you believe, I'm sure there are things that you do that have this kind of effect on you. If you don't pray or read scripture, this may be analogous to meditating and reading other good books. Now, of course, my kids' daily activities include things like listening to loud music, socializing with friends, being dumb, avoiding work, picking on each other, watching dumb shows, goofing off, having a good time. You get the point. They're normal kids. And they would rather do that stuff than pray, read scriptures, or worship God. But this child recognized that if they prioritized the things that influence them for good, they're happier. I'm not saying you can't let loose, goof off, crank the tunes, veg out if you want to be happy. But I am saying that if you prioritize the really good stuff, the high leverage stuff that makes you a better person, some of that other stuff is going to fall away. You take less junk into your life. Some friends might fall away. And if they're a negative influence on you, they should. You might watch less Netflix or YouTube. You might listen to less music that preaches negativity, and that's okay because you're becoming closer to the best version of yourself. I mean, if you think about it, just think about it nutrition-wise, physical nutrition. If you want to be the best version of yourself physically, you want to have not a lot of fat on your body. You want to be strong, then you're going to exercise, right? You're going to put your muscles under strain so that they will grow. You're going to eat right. You're going to eat the type of food that supports muscle growth. You're going to avoid eating the type of food that builds fat. You're going to get your calorie intake under control. And when you do that, some of the things that you enjoy are going to fall away. You're going to eat less ice cream. You're going to eat less potato chips. You're going to eat less candy. And the thing is, you feel better for doing it. You're going to drink less pop. You're going to drink more water. And you're going to feel better when you do that. It's science. And so the same thing goes for your emotional and your spiritual well-being. If you focus more on doing the things and being in the places that make you happy, where you're not motivated, you're not feeling like, oh, I want to go do fill in the blank, this negative thing. And you focus on those areas, those things, those activities, those groups of people that make you a better person, bring you lasting happiness, bring you kind of that underlying feeling of peace and joy. You focus your efforts there, more of your efforts, and you focus less of your efforts on going out and drinking with your friends on the weekend, doing drugs, any other negative thing, watching TV, watching Netflix, doing things that aren't useful. If you focus less time on those things, and more time on the things that motivate you to be a better version of yourself, then you're going to be happier. And so I had this conversation with my child, and it wasn't a one-way conversation, but it was really cool because I was helping them figure this out for themselves and encouraging them when they were coming to this type of a conclusion. And I'd never really thought of it that way before. So it was, I was really being taught a little bit by this child of mine. But it's something that I know is true and really is obvious, and I don't know why I didn't think about that before. So I encourage you to do that. Cut out some of the crap. Cut the crap out of your life and focus a little bit more on the good stuff. Anyways, that's my thoughts for the week. I just wanted to share that with y'all. I hope you're keeping sane in the COVID. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more content like this, like the video, ring the bell if you want to be notified as I release more content. Peace. Peace out.
To those who disagree with you and your